In the past year, the federal government has awarded close to 2 million work permits to refugees, asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, and others who have arrived in the U.S. without having a job lined up. Why are they doing that? Wendy Asifu is an education professor at Johns Hopkins University, and she joins us tonight to explain. Wendy, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So there are tens of millions of Americans who are out of the workforce, about 100 million actually. Some of them don't want a job, some of them do. Why, given that, there's an unemployment crisis, and it's not reflected in the numbers. Why would we be letting millions of people who are here illegally have work permits?
So it's really interesting, right? Because we have these undocumented workers. They come in, they make up about 5.2% of the U.S. labor force, and they get this work visa called the Employment Act document, and they work with this. But the interesting thing here is discretionary. It can be revoked at any time. So if we look at the makeup of this, 17% of that group is individuals who are looking for asylum, and another quarter or so is the DACA employees. But if you're looking at this from a business lens and trying to make a business case of it, what you would say is that the economics of it sort of makes sense here. And then the reason why is that, you know, when we look at the numbers, we see that if you are working and you're one of the undocumented workers, you've actually made up more money and put into the Social Security fund more than you're needed in the country. So it's like $300 billion.
But that, I mean, that's not actually happening. But what so striking to me is, when I was a kid, the left cared about workers and their condition and wages, and Cesar Chavez was out there, you know, arguing on behalf of his members for the United Farm Workers Union. Now, every liberal I talk to about immigration says, well, you know, it's good for the bottom line. Employers like it. You know, it's good for shareholders.
Yeah. I mean,
have you noticed that change?
I have, but I think it's really important for us not to make this a political conversation, because if you look at it, right, you have states like Texas, Georgia, Arizona, even North Carolina. These are states that Donald Trump won in the election, and they actually have the highest number of, you know, undocumented workers working in their states.
Maybe that's why he won those states.
Maybe that's why.
Because people are really frustrated. So let me ask you this, though, as a philosophical matter.
Sure.
Doesn't any government owe its first allegiance, loyalty to its own citizens? Look out for them first. So if I've got 4 kids, if I'm letting my kids starve but giving food to my neighbor's kids, maybe I'm shirking my duty. Isn't that kind of what we're doing here? We're ignoring our unemployed and employing the rest of the world? Well,
it depends on how you look at it, right? Because the narrative can be flipped on its head. Because quite frankly, if you look at individuals who get an H-2B visa, the foundation requires that you advertise that job and you have tried to fill that job in your own state at the wage in which you're offering. And only then, when you can prove that, are you then allowed to bring in others from out of the country.
But here's the thing, like, our schools are terrible, the middle of the country's dying, 60,000 people died of drug ODs last year. What's the incentive to make our schools better and the heartland better if we can just import people who are educated in India? Nothing against them. But, like, why would you ever make American schools better when you can just import the talent?
Well, as an educator, I will say that there is enough room for those who live abroad and those who live here. And I think that our school system is something that is in dire straits right now, and it needs to be focused on. And I don't think that we need to look at other people and say, let's strengthen our economy with these other individuals, while negating that we have so much talent in our own country.
But wait a second. I mean, if employers really felt like they had no option but to hire Americans, if I'm J.P. Morgan or Westinghouse, or if I'm Johns Hopkins University, I would say, hey, school district, you better start turning out some people who can work for me, who are capable of it. I'm going to invest in the schools. I'm going to make them better. Now it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm just call it Bangalore and bring in impressive, willing workers who will work for less. They've already got their engineering degrees. Do you see where I'm going with this?
I understand where you're going with it, but it's negating the fact that there has been individuals who say, you know what, we want to hire American workers, and then the American workers and say, for this wage, I will not do the job. And that's where it gets muddy.
Damn those American workers. They just want too much.
No,
those Americans just want too much.
No, we don't want too much. We're a great country.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Professor.